Before I get started again, I just wanted to once again just let everyone know that you can follow me on Twitter at GTORLONE. It's the same as my username for YouTube. Same thing. I interact with everyone on there, and I don't know why I just lead the video off with this little tidbit, but you know, just always looking for more Bills fans to interact with. So check me out on Twitter. Like I said, same as my YouTube username. I answer just about everybody, so you can talk to me about my predictions and whatnot there. Speaking of my predictions, I was wrong once again, much to my delight, your delight, the delight of Bills fans everywhere. The Bills, with a convincing start-to-finish win over the Dolphins by the score of 41-14. It just didn't feel good. You didn't, at least I didn't have to yell at the TV. Only for good things. I didn't have to just get mad. There was just so little stress involved, and those are my favorite kind of Bills games. It's the second time in 3 weeks that the Bills have held a 24-0 lead. We're not used to that, that's for sure. That's fun. Bills have 100 points in 3 games. They're averaging 33 points per game. Sadly, that's only third best in the league, but who would have had the Bills at third best in the league in offense in terms of points scored after 3 weeks? 100 points, 3 games. Only the 5th time they've done that in franchise history. Again, for the second straight week, they opened the game with an opening drive touchdown. This time, or last week against the Patriots, it was a mixture of passes and throws, Tyrod even taking off. This time, all throws. Tyrod was awesome throughout the game, and especially on that first drive. Connected on his first 5 throws. Finished it with the touchdown to Charles Clay. He finished 21 of 29 for 277 yards, 3 touchdowns. This is no game manager, folks. Tyrod is not some guy that they put in there because, oh, well, we think that he can, the whole limit turnovers game manager aspect of it. The safe play. They gambled a bit with Tyrod. It's paying off. This guy can play. I hope it's sustainable success, but right now, this guy can play. Also love the games of all former Dolphins at one point or another, whether it be on the roster or through training camp. Chris Hogan, Richie Incognito, Charles Clay. Incognito was one of the highest grade pass protectors, even offensive guards overall on Pro Football Focus. I believe he's their highest rated offensive guard for the whole season so far. Chris Hogan scores a touchdown. Charles Clay scores a touchdown, 5 catches, 82 yards for him. Hogan, I believe, only had 42 yards, but the touchdown, I'm sure, was sweet for him. A couple other guys who also played their college football in Florida, like Nigel Bradham, Ronald Darby, Carlos Williams, Percy Harvin, just to name a few. Carlos and Percy, the last 2 guys I mentioned, have really emerged as go-to guys for the Bills, especially the Tyrod. I'll get into Carlos Williams in a second, but I like the connection between Tyrod Taylor and Percy Harvin. That seems to be Tyrod's comfort zone, is going to Percy Harvin. He led the team with 7 catches on Sunday, leads the team overall with 16 catches and 192 yards. He has tried him a couple times on the deep ball, and it has just overthrown him. But he's tried it every week. He got a touchdown in week 1 against Indy. He got a pass interference call against the Patriots. He tried it this week and just overthrew him again. Really like what that's developed into. They should probably extend Percy Harvin now. Although, that credit card bill is coming for Doug Whaley. That's neither here nor there right now. On to Carlos Williams, who has scored a touchdown in every game. Leads the team in touchdowns with 3. 7.8 yards per carry for Carlos Williams. 7.8. 24 carries. 7.8 yards per carry. What? That's nuts. And he figures to start this week with looking like McCoy is going to be out. So that 7.8 yards per carry hopefully doesn't go down. Probably will go down. But not too upset about that. Definitely has some wiggle room there. Defensively, Tannehill was confused all day long. The Bills had got only a couple of sacks, but they were pressuring him. He had a dirty jersey by the end of the day. 3 interceptions. All 3 were Tannehill's, number 1, 2, and 3 of the year. He came into the game with no interceptions. Actually set the Dolphins' franchise record for consecutive pass attempts without an interception until Preston Brown got him, which really should have been a catch, but then Preston Brown got him again. Preston Brown just had a career day. Let's get that right out of the way. 2 interceptions and a touchdown. I like the game of Bakari Rambo in place of Aaron Williams. He set up one of those interceptions, the pick 6, just flying in untouched on a safety blitz. Gets a hit in on Tannehill, ball just flies right in the arms of Preston Brown, touchdown. And did that salt the game away? Sort of. It put the Bills up 3 scores going in, the maximum 3 scores, 24 points, going into the half there. And it really is just a huge, at least 10-point swing. Not that Miami was definitely going in for a field goal, but it was 17-0. They had a chance to make it 17-7, 17-3 at the worst, and instead it's 24-0. The Bills forced Miami to attempt 49 passes, which is something that I'm sure they don't want to do. They haven't run the ball very well at all this season with Lamar Miller and with Jonas Gray, who was active for the first time. The running backs split a total of just 18 carries. So the defense was putting Miami in bad situations all day long, and like I said, dude, it was a convincing win. The second Miami touchdown, pretty fluky, should never happen, shouldn't ever happen again. I don't think Gilmore's going to allow that kind of touchdown ever again. Tannehill rolling right on 4th and 8, just fires it up before he hits the sideline, and the ball almost hits the ground. It's a fluke, man. Total fluke. Opposite him, very impressed by Ronald Darby. Ronald Darby on the season is allowing a quarterback rating of 31.8 against, and that is the best in the league for somebody who's been targeted, I believe, at least 10 times. And Ronald Darby's been targeted 29 times. This was the thing that came into the year, especially in the Indy game, like, well, everyone's going to target Ronald Darby. He needs to be ready. And he's had an inconsistent summer at camp and preseason. Well, he's been targeted 29 times. He's allowed 13 catches, but no touchdowns. He has 2 interceptions and a league-leading, I believe, 8 passes defended. Go ahead, keep attacking him. All that, that could work against them this week. Odell Beckham, the Giants, Eli Manning, they're in town. They're coming off a Thursday night win in Week 3 against Washington. It's been pretty well documented that the Giants have blown 2 fourth-quarter leads prior to that W. They blew a fourth-quarter lead against Dallas. They blew a fourth-quarter lead against Atlanta. That's the good news. The bad news is they've held the lead in the fourth quarter in all 3 games. So if they can sort of iron some things out, the Giants could still be a factor of that division. Washington's probably not. We don't really know what Philly is. We don't know what Dallas is without Romo and Dez. And they blew a fourth-quarter lead, too, to Atlanta. Eli has been solid for the Giants. He has no interceptions this season, which is not very Eli-like. He's averaging just over 250 passing yards a game. Obviously, Odell Beckham is his number 1 go-to guy. I don't know who's going to cover him, Gilmore or Darby. They obviously have a pretty tall task. Beckham is one of the better receivers in the league, certainly top 5, and a guy that some Bills fans think we should have just taken instead of trading up for Sammy Watkins. But hindsight's 20/20, whatever. It looked like the Giants were going to get Victor Cruz back this week, but he suffered a setback in practice on Wednesday, and it looks like he's not going to be active this week. I'm just assuming that. So that plays into their advantage, into the Bills' advantage at least. The Giants aren't really that talented at wide receiver with Reuben Randall. They had to cut Preston Parker because he couldn't hold on to the ball. They have a rookie, Jeremy Davis. Larry Donnell just keeps dropping the football. Shane Vereen is a threat out of the backfield, but overall out of the backfield, The Giants aren't that much of a threat. They do not run the ball well. Three Bills have as many rushing yards as the Giants' leading rusher. Rashad Jennings has 96 rushing yards on the season. Carlos Williams, LaShawn McCoy, and even Tyrod Taylor have at least that many rushing yards. Tyrod Taylor has exactly 96 rushing yards. Speaking of running the football, the Bills are number 1 running the football. The Giants are number 2 against the run. You know who's number 1 against the run? The Bills. Think about that for a second. You want to know why the Bills are 2-1, why they're having success? Because they're number 1 running the ball and number 1 against the run. And the only reason they have that one loss is because of Tom Brady. Anyway, something's got to give on the ground. The Bills have the number 1 rushing attack. The Giants are number 2 against the run, like I said, averaging just under 75 yards per game. The Bills average over 150 rushing yards per game. On the opposite side, the Bills should have some success, or, they should succeed in shutting down Rashad Jennings and Shane Vereen out of the backfield, or Andre Williams, or whoever's running the football. This is just an NFC opponent that the Bills should be able to defeat at home. It's a mistake-prone opponent. The Giants, I know that Eli hasn't thrown any interceptions yet. Keyword yet. Tannehill didn't throw any interceptions yet. He threw 3. They need to take advantage of where the Giants are weak. I know that sounds stupid and just absurdly obvious, but the Giants don't run the ball well, so don't let them run the ball well. Make them throw the ball. They have receivers who will drop passes, and the Bills have pretty good corners, and they can generate a lot of pressure. I don't know where Eric Flowers stands and Will Beatty stands for the Giants' offensive line, but they might not be 100%, and this is another thing that could play into the Bills' favor. If the Bills can run the ball successfully, even though LaShawn McCoy probably won't play, it's looking like that, the Bills should just win the game with, behind the legs of Carlos Williams. And although, isn't it funny how, Fred Jackson's gone now, and, now it seems like they're just pretty, and Bryce Brown even, and they're pretty light at a running back. That's a little weird. It's just going to be Carlos and Boobie Dixon, I guess, this Sunday. So, and Tyrod, obviously, always a threat. Beat their strengths. Beat the Giants' strength. The Giants' strength is stopping the run, and your strength is running the football. So if your strength overcomes their strength, it should be a game you can win. The Bills could run themselves into trouble, though. They can do that with penalties. They could not stop the Giants' run game. They should. They're number 1 against the run. The Giants don't run the ball well at all. The Giants don't even have 100-yard rusher total. Not 100-yard rusher in a game. They don't have a 100-yard rusher for the season total. So, you can't let them just run the ball all over you, because that's going to open things up for Eli, Odell, etc. This is a game, like I said, the Bills should win. The Giants are 1-2. They could be a contender in the NFC East. NFC East looks pretty weak right now. I just think the Bills are a better team, which is weird, with a Super Bowl quarterback like Eli, a Super Bowl winning coach like Coughlin, and a stud receiver like Beckham. The Bills need to be ready for this game. I know I've been picking opposite. I swear to God I would have picked the Bills to win the game last week had I not wanted to play the whole I'm going to pick the opposite, because whatever I pick, the opposite seems to happen. I did that for fun one week, and it worked. I don't believe in jinxes. I can't jinx the Bills. I don't have any control over it unless, somehow the Bills see this video and they think about something and then they don't do something. It's just ridiculous. Don't be absurd. Don't believe it. Even in the broadcasters, jinx doesn't exist. Total fluke. It just happens. So, I'm going to pick the Bills to win. And if they lose, then I might actually be convinced that whatever I say, the opposite's going to happen. So I'm going to pick the Bills to beat the Giants. They're 5.5-point favorites. So I'm going to pick them to win by 6. The Bills are going to beat the Giants 26-20. There, you can't tell me I suck. Or maybe you can tell me I suck, because the opposite of what I say tends to happen. I want to hear your thoughts, opinions, guys. Let me know what you're thinking. Enjoy your weekend. And above all else, go Bills.